Does the ATF make laws? Well, let's find out. Does the ATF shoot dogs? Oh no, wait, sorry. Does the ATF make laws? There we go. ATF myths from the ATF's website. Not everything you hear is true. ATF wants to take my guns away. False. Yeah, right. Here we go. ATF makes the gun laws. They're claiming false. Congress makes federal gun laws, but the ATF enforces them. Okay, so if that's true, then how can they continually reclassify firearms and firearms parts as now illegal, making felons out of otherwise law-abiding citizens? Now, the ATF may claim that they don't make or change the laws, but if a person is not violating the law now, and then after an opinion letter from the ATF, all of a sudden they are violating the law or are a felon, this sounds an awful lot like the ATF just made or changed the law. Let's consider some recent examples, but before we start, understand that this video in no way is a call to violence or an attempt to incite violence, and it should not be taken as legal advice. In 2019, with President Trump's help, the ATF reclassified bump stocks as machine guns despite the fact that bump fire is still one shot per trigger pull, whereas a machine gun is multiple shots per trigger pull. And based on this idiotic logic, they could reclassify just about anything, including belt loops on pants, as machine guns. If you don't know what I'm referring to, then just Google it. Then in 2020, after initially classifying the Q Honey Badger pistol as a pistol, they later reclassified the exact same firearm as a short barrel rifle. Now, why on earth, of all the braced AR pistols out there, would they pick the Q Honey Badger as the one to go after? Could it be that this particular firearm was extremely expensive and owned by a minority of gun owners, presenting the least amount of risk for resistance? Then earlier this year of 2022, the ATF classified forced reset triggers as machine guns, and just like with the Q Honey Badger, this required those who initially purchased them legally to either register them as an NFA item with the ATF, surrender them to the ATF, destroy them, or risk felony charges. And there have even been reports of the ATF going door to door seizing these triggers. And then most recently, a leaked ATF document hinted at plans to reclassify braced pistols and to provide a quote amnesty period so that anyone who owns them can now register them with the ATF. So, if the ATF doesn't make or change laws, then why would someone need an amnesty period for something that they originally purchased legally? It's because they are changing laws, because laws consist of words and words have definitions. So you may not be changing the words in the law, but if you change the definitions or your opinions of the definitions of those words, then you've changed the law. And it's unilateral actions like these that threaten our democracy by undermining the checks and balances that were put in place to suppress despotic rule. Consider this: the leaders and directors of these federal agencies like the ATF are appointed by the president. And if these agencies are allowed to issue rulings which in effect are law, then this enables presidents to appoint miniature despots to do their bidding and circumvent Congress. And this is precisely what our founding fathers were trying to prevent when they set up the three branches of government. And like I said in this video, they're not going to stop with bump stocks, triggers, braces, or ARs. They won't stop until you are completely disarmed and entirely reliant on the government for your protection. So please, contact your representatives and demand that they do whatever they can to reel in the ATF and support pro-gun legislation. For instance, you can ask that they back the SHORT Act, which is a bill that seeks to remove short barrel rifles, or SBRs, and short barrel shotguns, or SBSs, and other items from the NFA. And another thing, just because a politician owns a shotgun, this doesn't make them pro-gun any more than having kids makes them pro-life.
I have 2 shotguns at home. It's a long story, but...
And if you don't know who your representatives are, then I'll leave a link in the description where you can search by your area code and it'll tell you who your representatives are in your area. Because the liberties of our children and grandchildren hinge on our willingness to stand up and resist tyranny. Consider this quote by John Stuart Mill. "Let not anyone pacify his conscience by the delusions that he can do no harm if he takes no part and forms no opinion. Bad men need nothing more to compass their ends than that good men should look on and do nothing. He is not a good man who, without a protest, allows wrong to be committed in his name." And speaking of good men, when I refer to the malevolence of the ATF, I am talking about the ATF as a whole. Because I'm sure that there are many God-fearing, gun-loving, and constitutional-honoring special agents within the ranks of the ATF. And to those who fall into this category, I ask that you remember your oath to the Constitution. Now, I'm not asking that you fall on your sword
I did fall on my sword once.
so that all that remains in the ranks of the ATF are yes men willing to trample on the Constitution on their way to the top. But what I am asking is that you do whatever you can to prevent these infringements on our Second Amendment rights, and other rights for that matter. Because the rationalization that you were just doing your job may help you sleep at night, but remember this. In the 20th century, there were many government employees of foreign nations who were just doing their jobs, despite the fact that those jobs entailed tyrannizing, torturing, and even murdering millions of innocent people. If you haven't already, please like and subscribe, and most importantly, hit that bell so YouTube will continue to promote these videos. Thanks again for watching, and as always, train to a higher standard.